There you go.
Okay, Zoom is up too.
Zoom is up. We're all set.
Okay. All right. This is the regular September meeting of the Bethany Board of Finance, September 12th, 2023 at 7:07 p.m. Present physically, John Grabowski, Katie Erickson, John Ford, Sharon Huxley. In addition, we have our finance director, Leslie Bacigalupi, our first selectman, Paula Francesco, and I'm sorry, I haven't met you yet.
Lauren Cable.
Lauren Cable, our secretary. The first item on the agenda, and the record should show that Lars Demanders just joined the meeting, is the review of the July 18th special meeting. And you have the minutes. Does anyone want to make a motion so that we can discuss?
So moved.
Okay. Have a second?
Second.
Wait a minute. Katie, weren't you in Zoom attending?
Yeah, it says it.
Oh, you're under, okay.
There's a
got it.
virtual attendance section.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess that should be up with the
I
committee members, right?
Well, it was also Kate Bird. It wasn't everyone that was,
I know, but Katie's
move it.
part of being up there. She's
Yeah.
was part of it. Anyway,
Okay, next
Um,
meeting, we can put virtual up on.
yeah. all right, so. Anybody?
the only comment I had was the transfers were discussed and approved, but there's no record of them except digging through the actual like documents, like embedded in the expenditure document. Is there a way that we could show what the the transfers are that we approved? It was just something I thought that we could have a
I
discussion
think
on.
that it would be absolutely appropriate for an appendix to the minutes be added that, and after every meeting that includes any transfers.
Great. In
that we
fact,
have
my
made.
notes say as an attachment in the minutes. So that would be a request if you can modify these minutes to add that.
I know they were part of the packet,
Yes, but they're not.
but
They're
I
not.
understand your point.
And therefore, they're not actually in the.
Part of
They're
the
not in
document.
record, yeah.
Mhm. Right. Anything else? No? Okay, are you ready to vote then? Those in favor of, whoops, approving the minutes as modified?
Hi.
Aye. Okay, so there are four positive. John Grabowski's abstained. The next thing on our agenda are finance director's report. Leslie?
There are 3 sets of financials and with the attachments. The first was a departmental expense summary for fiscal year 23. The second is the current system's explanation of our net position for the fiscal year. And then the third document is year-to-date financials for fiscal 24. If you look at the net position for 23, before audit, it is showing a surplus of about $500,000.
What are the primary drivers of that?
The primary drivers?
Mhm.
That is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Our interest income was $100,000 over budget because banks actually paid interest last year. We budgeted for basically a 0% interest rate, interest earnings, and lo and behold, we started to earn significant money towards the end of the year. Other state and local grants was over budget. The budget on that was very small based on what categories we had received from the state when we put together the budget. but we received $148,000, I think it was $148,000 steep grant closeout payment that was not put on the books as a receivable from the state. So that came in as other revenue for last year. So there's
Really
two,
from the year before.
yeah, it was years before. So
Mm.
there's 200 plus park and rec revenue was $100,000 over budget. So that gives us $350,000 more in revenue than we had budgeted for. On the expense side, our major savings came from two primary categories. Public Works
Public
fee,
Works was.
Public Works was under budget, and medical insurance was under budget. Because we have to budget, assuming we budget with family coverage for all eligible employees, and that they do not always take it. So that was our two greatest areas of savings. Plus, the Board of Ed came in under budget, the local Board of Ed.
And they returned some to us, right?
Yes, they did return. They asked for 78,000 to go into the non-lapsing, and they returned the balance to us.
Anybody else? Okay. Transfers.
Thank you, Lisa.
None.
You're welcome. There are no transfers at this point.
In the 2024 budget, I know we're quite early in the year. Anything looking like we might need to address early?
No, not at the moment. I do not believe so, but it's too early to tell
Mhm.
on a lot of items. I do know that the cost of paving was higher than Don had anticipated when the budget was put together. So he has made adjustments to what work he will be doing to try to stay as close to within budget as possible.
Anything else? The year is early yet. You're good? Everybody? All right, the informational items.
Well, that's funny. I just found a mistake on it. It's something that I just have to check. It was a shift of line items, so I missed it before. Because there's one line that's $3,000 over budget that's going to compound if we don't move it to the right GL number for this year. It was because of the split of the fire marshal and EMD director. That's all. There is nothing, informational items. There's just one item that I would like to add that is not listed on here. I have received a resignation from a staff member, so there will be a vacancy in the finance office as of the end of next week. We have already placed an ad for that position.
What's the role?
The accounting clerk.
Do we know about the other one?
Yeah, we had at our last meeting, I had informed them that we had
In
put
July.
it in July, that we had put an offer out, and the accounts payable clerk is working out fabulously.
But the accounting clerk was a relatively new
That was a
position.
position that we put in the budget last fiscal year. The person is here approximately 1 year, and she has tendered her resignation.
I meant, Carol.
Oh,
Because- because
yeah,
we-
but
you-
she's not
you
ours.
didn't-
That's not-
I
that's
know
not-
she's not
not
yours,
ours.
but she is a vacancy which we are hoping to fill relatively
the
quickly.
tax assessor clerk.
She took a job in Woodbridge in their tax office, so. And she's only been here 6 months. I think it's not, because she just became eligible.
Maybe that.
September 1st.
That's what I have.
Moving on to grants.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, you have-
Oh,
Yeah,
did
we
you
were
have-
covering informational items.
oh,
Did you have a question on something?
Yes,
Okay.
the recycling, there's and bulky waste. Um, There was a letter from someone in here,
Bruce,
Yeah.
Bruce.
Sharon was going to address that under her report.
but
Well, we can cover it now.
we can cover it now.
It doesn't matter to me when
I
we
got
did it.
an email from Bruce. I think you have it. I
Yeah, I saw it.
had Leslie and give it to everybody. He saw that at the special meeting that it was just tabled till fall because we weren't going to meet again until this month. And because we had restricted our number of the items on that July meeting to only things related to the end of year closing and time sensitive, which was the ARPA requests. And that's all we covered. And I don't think he realized what the intent of the special meeting was. So because what we were working off was the standard meeting agenda, and that just said tabled.
Hmm.
And so his comments were that it was not appropriate to table them. I'm sure you saw that.
I did.
his comments. And it wasn't something that needed to be acted on in July, which is why it was tabled.
But it does need to be acted on now. So is there an update on how it's gonna go out to bid? I mean,
The bid will not be put together before January.
okay,
All right, and I have my new accounts payable clerk working on a deep dive over the last 2 fiscal years on the tonnage data so that we are more informed as to what our potential cost is going to be to add recycling on a townwide basis, you know, as far as the increase in the cost to the budget for that pickup versus some other pay as you throw basis or whatever. But we're also looking at, you know, how does this impact the current hours at the recycling center? What does that look like? We have 2 full-time employees there. So there's a lot of pieces that are going into it. So Don, myself, and Jen, my AP clerk, we are working on more of the behind the scenes data gathering portion, putting together all the Excel spreadsheets so that we are coming at it from an informed standpoint. So we are working behind the scenes. We just don't have the information, a comprehensive packet put together yet to bring to this meeting for discussion.
okay. So you think around November time we'll have?
Yeah.
That, okay.
Grants, we'll start with the ARPA, because that's where we need to take action. Right now, there is the second to the last line says TBD, to be determined. It's $313,000.
Wait a minute.
100.
$113,000, excuse me.
Where are you?
We're on attachment 5A1.
It's like a sideways one.
Yeah.
Oh, you went all the way. I'm trying to stay on the agenda.
Well, I did, because we covered everything.
No, I'm just not going through it all. I'm actually physically on the agenda page. What's the balance?
Oh, okay.
113.
113,481.
Okay.
That is as TBD, but the total that is still available right now is 181,709.51. We have placeholders for a couple items, and we can pull that back and we can move it to somewhere else. It's not, they were ideas that were put out when the funds first became available as potential uses for the money. That's where, like, the $10,000 for that part, that's lodge light upgrade and generator comes from. That's where the police cams at 35,000 come from. That's where that money, these were placeholders for potential projects. And so where we are now is there are several individuals that have come before us for additional funding. So the first one on your packet would be from the Bethany Land Trust. And there is a more detailed email that is on the table from what was in your packet. The packet was a brief summary, and there's now more there's more information that was provided to me yesterday after the packet had been sent out to everyone. So that is why I have that separate.
So I'm so sorry. You
That's
walked us
okay.
through that and this Bethany Land Trust one with the extra information,
Mhm.
that's not the 119 here.
That is not, that is correct.
This
It
is
is
a-
not the
an
119.
additional
It is an
request.
additional request. That 119 has already
Been
been
approved
approved.
at our
This
last
is-
meeting, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and this is
Mhm.
additional.
And it's of that 113 pool. It would, if
Yes.
approved, it would.
Yes,
chew
it would
down
come
on
from that 113 pool.
So, just want to point out, this is yet another request from the Bethany Land Trust. I think we need to recognize if groups are asking for multiple things, just. pointing it out.
Mhm.
But this one also is a request for $20,000, which means it has to go to a town meeting. But Mr. Owen is here. I think he'd probably like to address this, but I personally, I have a concern to the extent that the town is investing in land acquisition funding in a major way. Not with the land trust, with the Conservation Commission. I'm not sure that we should be doing that. And we funded ancillary expenditures related to purchasing land. That's what we did last month, but that's just my opinion. Mr. Oman?
Yeah, for the
It's
record,
yours.
Chuck Oman, Vice President of the Bethany Land Trust. I guess the first thing I'd like to say is, I guess I was mistaken because I thought $20,000 was the threshold
No,
at which a request did not have to go to a town meeting. So if you're going to consider this request, I guess I would ask that it please be amended to an amount below the threshold because we have to close rather
Okay.
quickly on this property.
I believe that in July, we picked 19,500 as our threshold, just to make sure that we didn't accidentally approve something that was going to end up going over.
So in that event, I would like to ask the board to please consider amending that request to $19,500 so it does not have to go to a town meeting, which would be a timing problem for us.
Um,
I'm not sure if you want to hear more from me on your concerns, Madam Chair, about the funding acquisition of land. I'm not really, maybe I'm not entirely clear with what you're saying. It's
all
the
right, well,
Conservation Commission is already engaged in that process.
the Conservation Commission has over $550,000 that the town has funded for the purchase of land. That was my point. It's just, do we think we should use the limited ARPA funds also for that purpose? Throwing it out. That's my personal concern.
Yeah, I mean, every year in the budget, it's but that's a different commission, I'm understanding now. is
And they
the-
have never spent a penny of it
I
for land. They spend it for other things.
don't understand the relationship between the two parties, I guess, is where I'm
Well,
having a little bit of a
The
struggle.
Conservation Commission is a town body that would
Mhm.
acquire land that would be owned by the town.
Right,
The land trust is a nonprofit land conservation and preservation entity.
Sharon, just, I
just have
Yeah.
a question with the, are we using land acquisition for the Russell Road property? That being purchased with land acquisition funds?
If, I said it hasn't happened yet.
Okay, but that'd be one
Yes.
possibly.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I, totally ignorant of it. Are you able to use land acquisition funds for the land trust?
That was my next step.
Well,
right,
that's
yeah,
not,
yeah.
that's not,
I don't know what the
that,
legal.
that would be a town meeting thing, I think. I think no matter what, this question should go to a town meeting. If we decide that we would use ARPA funds, the thing is, the ARPA funds are, there's 113,000 left. And,
I don't think it's necessarily unprecedented. I mean, the town I work for, the land trust and the, I'm forgetting. It's another town entity. They enter into partnerships all the time
Mhm.
on purchasing properties. Or half historically.
that's who ends up owning the property.
Sometimes they're jointly held.
Mhm. Well, I don't know.
Hmm.
John, Lars?
I think we look at what the other requests are and see what amounts they're looking for and go through them all instead of making a call right now on this. You have to
Okay.
consider them all.
Okay, that's John?
I agree with that and see which, then we can make some decisions. But I do think it should still go to a town meeting to get some clarification on what we should do with the.
I think
Those two
that that would be something. Yes, because that would be a sea change for what the town is doing in terms of land acquisition. So, okay, so we'll go through the other requests and then come back to this one. Is that what you want to do, or just send it forward to the town meeting without a recommendation?
I think we look at them all
We'll look at them all.
first,
Okay,
give them all a fair shot.
all right. Next,
All right, next up is a request, I'm assuming from Janet Grunwald. It just says Janet. It's for Lakeview Lodge. And she has noted that the blinds are very nice that are there, but she would also like to know if ARPA funds could be used to improve the Wi-Fi service, add new LED lighting, installing some presentation equipment, i.e. wall-mounted TV screen or a ceiling-mounted projector and speakers, and also an AED. And she was also asking about if there was anything that could be done to the announcer stand at the airport, that the building needed a lot of work, as in roofing, trim repairs, painting, electrical work, lighting, a new key lockbox. So there's no numbers attached to this. It's just basically a wish list for improvements at other areas.
So when I read this, I understood she's making suggestions of town properties that
Yes,
she was asking the DPW to sort of, or someone within her project management organization to oversee, right? You know,
Correct.
and to lead. Yeah, okay. I think these are, in my opinion, valid upgrades to, you know, and
I was at an event there on Sunday for the land trust, and Patsy Weiner came up to me afterwards. She goes, if we could do something with the sound in here, she goes, I was having a hard time hearing people talking because there was actually two gentlemen playing music up in the front of the room. And, you know, so it was hard to hear some conversations when we were talking with somebody. So she was asking if the sound system could be improved somewhere. And I said, it's in conversation, so.
so.
I don't know how to proceed with this request, although the request seems reasonable and doesn't seem extravagant. You know what I mean? Like,
I
I
would
just,
suggest that we refer it to our facilities manager and
Don, to
ask him
price it out.
to price it out.
Research. the
to
costs.
see what
Yeah.
these different things might cost.
Yeah. Mhm.
okay.
John, question?
I was just gonna say the airport, some of those projects, Unless there's a reason why they can't, but those seem like good Eagle Scout projects.
Well, there was an Eagle Scout that came to us 2 months ago,
Yeah,
and wants to do this project to revamp the stand up there between the rails.
Yeah, I definitely think that'd be worthwhile to look into.
I would request that the building official evaluate the viability of that building first. It's really a glorified shed. It leaks. I mean, it doesn't just leak from the top, it leaks from the bottom. It's got,
No, we can't, I'm just,
well, shouldn't, I mean, I have a feeling that bringing it up to code, if we're, would be what would be required, now would be kind of, but we ought to know what that is, because that's more than what the Eagle Scout was doing. He was gonna put in some shelves and a couple of other things to make it for, because the Lions use it for storage. But again, I think we should refer it to,
We call that scope growth in my.
Yeah.
My organization,
what?
scope growth.
Okay.
But I think they're valid, if that's the
Well, we need
suggestion of the board.
numbers, we
Yeah,
need numbers, we need to know what they're gonna cost to accomplish. Okay, next.
And then last would be a request from the Bethany Historical Society. There's 2 requests from them. The first is for air conditioning and the second is to pave the parking lot.
we already have 2 requests with them.
Correct, for painting and a roof.
Yeah, so it's another example of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The HVAC that they're looking for is $19,250. And the paving, they are looking for $65,000. And we do have some representatives from the Historical Society here. If you have questions, they can, I'm sure they would be happy to address them.
So the pavement would obviously have to go to a town meeting because of the dollar amount. Why is it so much? That's a very small,
It's bigger than you think, because it's the back lot
Hmm.
and the side and the front driveway.
okay,
So pretty much the Episcopal Church, the only parking that they own is that little strip in front of the church. Everything else is historical site, even though they use it. So it's, I thought the same thing, but it's, we've got 6 or 7 quotes. And there were some variations, but they all calculated the area. And it's pretty simple, it's how many square feet times how much asphalt. And my guess is probably the last time it was paved is when the town owned it in the 70s. Because I don't think the church has paved it and we haven't paved it, 'cause it's obviously a big nut. It's,
so if we were to send this forward to the selectmen to go to a town meeting, you have to pick one of these numbers. We can't just give,
well, that's why we said 65.
Okay.
They range from 51,000 to 75,000.
okay. Anyone?
Yeah, I'm just doing a little, just some quick math. We've got the land trust,
Mhm.
I'm gonna round to 20. And then an unknown amount for some smaller projects,
Mhm.
and then,
It'll wipe it out.
It'll wipe it out.
yeah.
And what's our balance?
113.
113.
So these would essentially wipe it out, so there would be nothing
So
for,
the first
for that.
section,
Yeah, the first section,
no, I'm gonna say tranche,
No.
whatever,
Oh, it's all of it.
that's, oh, that's it.
That's
Yes,
it.
We're done.
this is-
That's
this is
it.
the end.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basic, I mean, it's proposal, the request tonight where we have hard numbers is 105,000.
Hmm.
I was doing the roundup, Katie, just like you were,
Mhm. Definitely.
and that does not count anything that we would do at the lodge.
We can send, we could, I don't, we could get them on the next town meeting? You said
Well,
possibly?
it's 24-hour notice for a meeting, so I'd have to do it first thing tomorrow morning to do a special board of selectmen for Thursday morning.
Mhm.
And if I can, then hopefully the printer will not have a problem. If I get it to him Thursday afternoon, if we scramble and get the call put together. So that, because my goal is to get it in the newspaper. It
Yeah.
has to be in the newspaper, to the town clerk, to the whole,
Yeah.
for Friday.
Well, what I'm thinking is maybe because now we're talking about prioritizing things and getting towards the end of the money, that we maybe send them all to the town meeting and let the town meeting decide yes or no and let them know that we also have this other request that we don't have any money on.
Why are we rushing on these other than the land trust having a deadline?
Just because, well, I would say the priorities, the prioritization at this point, I would like to see them be discussed in the town meeting.
So sorry,
Because,
but here we're
because
talking
it's going
about
to
calling a special selectmen's meeting to make it like, and why are we not letting it fall in the next regularly scheduled meeting? I guess is what I was asking.
regularly scheduled.
Like the next
Town
town
meeting.
meeting, the
This
next
is to
town.
get it on the next town meeting.
Well, there is a town
Well,
meeting scheduled
this-
for the end of September.
No, so I understand that. I understand that, but like,
I mean, if we didn't hold another special town meeting between now and May, the next town meeting would be the annual town meeting in May.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we try to strategize these meetings so that we have multiple things
no,
on the
I
floor.
totally understand. Yeah.
And I don't know. With paving, I mean, if it's not done now, it could be done in the spring potentially.
At a
um,
higher cost.
At a higher cost, most likely.
Everything will be a
But,
higher cost.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
exactly,
everything.
I know.
Exactly.
The price of land's gonna go up, air conditioners are gonna go up. I mean, that's just.
Yeah.
I don't know. I personally feel like the Historical Society it's got their hands in the pie for a lot. Is it a fair distribution of the ARPA money? I'm not entirely sure. So I would be happy sending it to the town.
And just the time sensitivity on the air conditioning is, we've been told that the rebates will end October 1st. So that,
Instant rebate.
yeah, so that would affect the price of the project.
Okay, and that one is 19,200.
Yeah.
That's with the other grants. And the
So if you had your choice, air conditioners or paving, because we just also approved 26,000 and what was it, what was the other piece? 15 plus painting, whatever, so. Air conditioning more important, if the paving hasn't been done since the 70s, if it had to wait. I'm just trying to prioritize, because we don't know if any other organizations are gonna come forward with something. Correct. Or what the cost potentially could be for those lodge expenses.
Yeah, I'm thinking those sound honestly like very, very legitimate, specific ARPA type.
It would be good to have a
Objectives.
generator for that building, because if you have events there and the power goes out, you know,
Which building? Generator?
the lodge,
Oh, that's
The
part of
lodge. that's part
the re-
lodge.
the request for the lodge.
I didn't recall seeing a generator. My apologies.
Oh,
that
it's a
was-
place, it's a
It's a
placeholder on
placeholder in
the,
ARPA.
in the ARPA sheet. But that number may be significantly lower than what we need for said generator.
Oh, okay. Okay. I think I got what you're saying. That's the HVAC upgrades.
Yeah. So I see that one project that's too big for us to approve. It would absolutely have to be a town meeting. One that has structural questions, if you will, about how the town operates together with the land trust. And then the one about the HVACs. So two of them definitely, if we could get them on the call at that meeting.
And you're talking about the 19,000 for the HVAC? No.
No, not yet,
Not yet, okay.
but I really think we need the guidance of the town on the other two, because we're getting close to the end of what looked like a bottomless pit not long ago. What about the HVAC? Well,
So I'm just gonna jump in with, you know, and we realize these are big numbers and we're asking for a lot. It's kind of the culmination of, you know, things reaching the end of their useful life at the same time. And, you know, Historical Society, and we've always kind of worked on a shoestring budget, relying on donations and memberships, and cans and bottles at the airport, you know, our primary income. So yeah, we get it. We figured, you know, since we learned about the program just in July and we went and talked to numerous contractors we educated ourselves a lot. I mean, we learned about the rebates, which I didn't know anything about. We learned quite a bit about that. So, you know, we understand, we figured if we don't ask, then it's automatically a no. So, but it's, you know, like the paving and the AC, even the upper roof that you approved before, it's not something you can do a bake sale or a dinner. It's,
Right.
it's, you know, 700 bake sales to get to, you know, to pay the parking. So
That's a lot of
if
bakes.
the days didn't get pushed off and there are a lot of potholes, we'd have
Yeah.
to, we'd be kind of throwing good money after bad,
Mhm.
patching potholes so people don't trip and fall. Both churches, Special Episcopal, and Congregational and the library, honestly, like the Episcopal use it more than we do because they use it multiple times a week. But, and I know you have the other projects, but I don't think because there are other grant available for like state grants and where you could do, the town can get money from the state for other things, but I don't think there's something, I don't think we're gonna see a thing like, well, in some ways, hopefully not, like ARPA, where it's I don't think there's I can't foresee other grant opportunities like this for a private group like Land Trust or Historical Society. Linda did a huge amount of work. We wrote a grant with the humanities, Connecting Humanities, for $50,000 to do the upper roof and the AC, and we didn't get it. It's they put a lot of time into that, and we found out only 20 to 25%. So, I mean, if we don't get it, we certainly understand, but it's like we'll never be able to do it. We'll have to look for other grants, and I honestly don't know how much is out there. And we have been, again, Linda, Lions Club, we got Ion Bank, they're smaller, kind of chipping away at it. But to get the big numbers, and we know they're big, it's
It is what it is. I mean, it isn't that they're not worthy projects. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that maybe 5 people shouldn't make some of these decisions. I don't know. Somebody, do you want to start with we'll start with the first one, start with the land trust request.
I still have a discussion on that one. Chuck, yes?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
When you mentioned there is a timing, there was a sense of urgency with this. Will you give me some details about that?
Yes, I can. Mr. Van Epps offered us a discounted price if we could close by August 1st. Obviously, that date has come and gone, but we're still in play and we're ready to close. His bank, the mortgage holder, had to review the survey and clear the purchase and sales agreement. So we are ready to close right now. And I've told Mr. Van Epps that we're seeking some funding, at least for a portion of the purchase price. But I do also know that he has to be paid directly if the grant should be approved. It's not a situation where we can tender the entire purchase price and then expect to be
Reimbursed, yeah.
reimbursed if our request is approved. So that's the timing situation. I mean, we're past the deadline that Mr. Van Epps would have preferred, but we are going to close very soon. I would say within a week or so, and it was my intention to explain to Mr. Van Epps, as I already have actually, that he has to be paid directly, so we would close with the understanding that $20,000 of the purchase price would be tendered to him if and when it was approved. If not, we're going to just have to pay it from our somewhat limited treasury. I sort of spelled that out in the description that I gave you.
But you do have the funds.
We do have the funds. We have approximately $240,000 in our treasury, $75,000 that is an anonymous donation specifically designated for the purchase of this piece. That's how important it is to some people. We are going to have to come up with the balance out of our own treasury. So it really does mean we're going to be running lean. We're good at finding money, getting grants. We tried to get a grant for this particular property from the Audubon Society, but we weren't successful. We've been successful with them before, but not this particular time. And we're really anxious to acquire this piece. I don't know if anybody is familiar with it, but
Is this the one that goes up to the Naugatuck State, abuts the Naugatuck State Park?
we bought the adjoining parcel from Mr. Van Epps, 7 acres. It abuts the Naugatuck State Forest Trail. This piece is an additional 16.5 acres that abuts the piece we already have, and also adjoins the Naugatuck State Forest. And the trail, the Naugatuck Trail is right there, a few feet from the border. So when you combine what we will have there with the access to the Naugatuck Trail, the Mendel's Folly Preserve and its adjoining pieces, and hopefully soon Simpson, you've got a wonderful, wonderful recreational resource there. There's going to be miles and miles of trails and just tremendous opportunities for people to recreate, and not to even mention the conservation value of these properties. I provided actually an animal sighting list that Mr. Van Epps prepared, and you can see the abundant wildlife that's on that property. For 2 years running, he's had a mother bear and 2 cubs. If you're really geeky about this, there's another animal called the 5-line skink that occupies this property. It's endangered. That's SKINK for the record.
Okay. So what is the current targeted date for the town meeting?
It's scheduled, it's been approved for the 27th,
27th.
but our goal is to get the posting mailed and put in the paper on Friday. So I would have to, like I say, tomorrow morning, I have to come in and post for Thursday morning for 24-hour notice for a special Board of Selectmen meeting to approve anything that needs to go forward on that call.
We can, well, in order for him to have the money either way, you're going to have a special Board of Selectmen meeting, because even if we were to recommend it, you would still have to act.
Right, and it wouldn't, I mean, technically, it wouldn't have to go on the call unless you're making the recommendation. If you're not making a
Right.
recommendation, but you want us to just get it on the call, I need to know which way you want to go here.
I move to send this to town meeting.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Because,
I already, I'm in agreement with
Oh,
that.
okay.
I'm good with
Yeah, I
it.
already said-
Okay, so
All
I
right,
would
so
Thursday
that's-
morning,
that's
it'll
unanimous.
be to approve it and recommend it and
Yeah.
put it on the call for the town meeting.
yes, because it would,
Go ahead. Amy.
so
No,
there'll be,
I just want to make sure that we're clear on what is going. The
Oh.
recommendation to put it on the call, or the recommendation, or the approved recommendation of funding to go on the call.
I think just the recommendation,
Just so that we're, that the record is
unless
clear.
you,
I just want, I didn't understand the nuance.
All right.
You don't want us to just approve it and say we've approved it and we're sending it.
We're
to-
recommending
We're
it.
recommending that you send it
That
to the
it be
board, who
considered-
will send it to the town for approval.
Yeah, oh, okay. I see, understand. So
Okay.
it's giving you guys the final,
Giving
the
us,
choice.
it has to come to us and then.
Oh, I recommend it
Yeah.
to go to the board, to the town meeting. I
Yeah.
personally recommend it go straight to the town meeting.
But the question is it going to the town meeting with with a
Recommendation. to approve.
recommendation to approve, or just a recommendation for the town to,
For the town to consider.
Okay.
the town to consider?
It's I think it's enough of a policy change that it should be done with full transparency, that everybody know.
Okay, so it'll come to us and then we will just stamp it as sending it to the town meeting for recommendation for the town to approve.
Town to, yeah,
For the
Town
town
to,
to
for the
Right.
town to. approve.
yes,
Yes.
yeah, okay. Then the 65,
May I be heard briefly before you
Yes,
move on to
certainly.
the next topic? So two things, since it is going to go to a town meeting,
Mm-hmm.
I'll withdraw the request to amend, and I'd like to leave it at $20,000.
Sure.
Um,
Why not? Yeah.
Well, if it's going to the town anyway, right?
all right, somebody want, you realize we've already voted.
Okay.
Okay, so would someone like to amend that?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's,
So it's the
okay.
20,000 to
20,000.
go forward to the
Yes.
town for approval.
Sorry sorry about that. I had
The
a-
thing is, you wouldn't have got the money any sooner anyway, because it still would have to go to the selectmen, so.
Yes, and that was my second inquiry was, when it goes to the town meeting and presuming it would be approved, will the funds then be available? Is there any
Yeah.
further action required?
No,
Okay.
no, once it's approved, then it's good to go.
And that's September 29, correct?
27th,
27th.
Wednesday, the 27th.
That's my birthday.
Ooh.
Happy birthday. There will
Many
be a
happy
mailing.
returns.
The call will be mailed to every household with all of the items listed on it for approval.
Thank you.
So,
So the next one would be the paving, because that's obviously has to go to a town meeting. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
and that's for 65,000?
Okay, any more discussion? With or without a recommendation?
Without. I don't-
Without, just
yeah,
let them.
Let's just let the town decide, yeah.
Okay.
Agree?
Mhm.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so
Aye.
that was
Got that for
unanimous.
65,000 to go to the Board of Selectmen to go to recommend to the town for approval.
To refer to the town.
Well, refer to the town.
Then the HVAC.
You know?
Same.
And that was how much was the,
19,250.
The clerk has to make that all sound legal. and-
Oh, Okay, sorry, amend that.
I didn't even.
John
Same-
Ford,
same
ditto.
Are you saying do it the same way?
Yes,
or-
do it the same
Okay,
way.
because we could, if you wanted to, we could,
To the Board of Selectmen to refer to the town meeting for approval.
yes.
Gotcha.
Was there a second?
Second.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, everybody, so. Can make
Then we'll just have to work with Don
It would-
the lodge things to
Yes,
get
we
quotes
should,
and prices
we
on
should
those
have an
items.
idea of not just that there is 113,000 left, but what portions of that
Right.
project might be.
Mhm.
And that's not saying that we would approve them or ask them to approve them, but just so that they know that there's this other thing in the.
Right, and depending on, I mean, we could always potentially, the way these grants pop up, we could always apply for a grant for.
Yes,
for that
absolutely.
project To
I mean,
have those, all of those things
LoSiPs
listed
and-
and encompass it in
Mhm.
one
Mhm.
grant as
We could do it.
renovations and upgrades,
But,
so.
but again, these are all ARPA eligible. I'm not really sure honestly about buying land, but the rest of it is definitely ARPA eligible, including what we already did give the land trust for the acquisition cost.
Yes.
Those, so, all right,
So I will update my.
what's next?
Steep,
Okay, so unless you have additional comments or questions, you can.
You can stay
Bail
or
if you
go.
want,
Up
you
to
don't-
you.
or
You
you
can
can
stay.
stay and listen to us talk about everything else.
yes, I do. This steep is attached.
Can I check? Can I?
And thank you.
All right, next up is steep. The Board of Selectmen have approved a steep grant application. The details are on the. Did we miss the page for this? Oh, no, it's
No,
here.
it's there.
It's there. I was gonna say, I jumped
$600
at page 2.
It's a random.
All right, the requested grant amount is $500,000. The total cost of the project is $603,715.90. The town will have to find that 20% match, which is the $103,715. The project is to do some renovations at the Public Works facility. It would be to add a second floor for resting facilities for the DPW crew when they are on overnight call duty. And it would also work on paving in and around the recycling center area.
So the amount that the town would have to appropriate,
Is $103,715.90.
and are we thinking of taking some of that from the capital reserve, or are we thinking about appropriating from the general fund?
There was no thought put into that when this application was submitted.
Who submitted the application?
Has it gone in without approval?
It was submitted because of the Board of Selectmen approved applying for the grant.
Because of the timing, which we only had 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Because steep grants, you get like the first of
That's a
September, you get like the 1st of August and they're due on the 15th of August kind of thing.
Yeah.
So when is it going to the town?
Well, it'll go on the.
It will go on the
27th.
27th call.
If we have to.
So the question is, where would we like to draw the additional funds from? Dip into the general fund? Or
Wait, so it's definite?
when we have
No,
not been
we haven't
approved yet,
received it
we have
yet.
not received it.
We
They have
haven't.
applied for the,
What rights does the Board of Finance have to talk about this project? Is it
Well,
like?
normally we would have approved applying for the grant before the grant was applied for,
Right,
but we didn't meet in August.
And we had to get
And
the
they-
paperwork in to apply for it.
So, but it has to
Okay.
be approved by the town meeting,
Right.
and
I mean,
we
it could
have,
be, it could be voted down and potentially then we just refuse the grant if we get it.
okay.
But this opportunity came to apply for this, and like Will said before, if you don't ask,
Mhm.
then it's a definite no.
I mean, we want this? This seems
Well,
like
if you
a,
saw where the
yeah.
guys sleep during storms,
which is it? Is it a place to rest? Is it a place to have clubs? It just seems like it's, Okay, okay, sorry, we'll go through first how we're gonna pay for it, and then I guess we can go through the order of the document.
So we are working with a surplus from the last fiscal year going into the general fund.
Okay,
So, and we also, how much do we have approximately capital reserve?
Capital Reserve has approximately $750,000.
So if we take it from capital reserve, then it's not going to, well, it won't impact the general fund
Yes.
because
correct.
that's already appropriated funds. On the other hand, the thing about capital reserve, about using it up in really big chunks that concerns me is that having that big chunk of money isn't sort of an accident of fate and poor accounting practices in the past. And because it shouldn't have been there. No, it was never funded. It was
Mhm.
capital projects that were funded, but the money was paid out of the general fund instead of where it should have been. And that we're,
That's possible.
yeah, and that it's unlikely that we will ever pour excess funds into there again. So
the idea is that it would only be replenished by projects that
Right.
came in under budget.
Well, also,
right.
if you remember, we had, was it 145,000 for the fixing up of the playground down at Vets Park? But we ended up using ARPA funds for that, so it was voted to put that 145 in capital reserve.
Right.
So, you know.
So it's really, would we recommend that the meeting take the funds, appropriate the funds, identify the funds from capital reserve or from the general fund, knowing that the general fund is receiving 600,000 of surplus?
The other thing to consider is the town meeting in May, we approved approximately $150,000 of spending from the capital reserve.
We have to make a recommendation.
I recommend we don't go forward with this project. What's the maintenance cost on it? Who's gonna be the cleaning cost on it? Like, is it gonna be bunk beds? Like, I don't understand
It
this.
would be,
If it's a sleeping space or,
it would be,
Probably
it would be
cots.
cots.
I'm guessing it would be cots, something that can be folded down and, you know.
I think they've been like sleeping up in the rafters.
Mhm.
Over the
oh, that's
office.
fine. I mean, I work
And-
storm duty all the time. I understand about overnighting and I understand about cots. I don't think it costs 600 grand to build an addition. I just,
But it's also paving, it's not just it's the building, it's, you know.
It's not, it
a
is
shower for storm overflow. It's also, they're saying in here that churches aren't allowing clubs anymore, so clubs can meet there. I just don't, I think it's just a weird public work project.
public works or clubs.
That's what,
Well,
that's what it says.
there would be a community room, there would be a larger, there would be a large room built in there as well.
And there's gonna be a heating and cooling shelter with shower space. I mean, it's reaching, I don't know, seems open saved. Are Parks and Rec turned away groups due to lack of insufficient accommodation? What's that talking about?
Well, we,
Meeting rooms.
meeting rooms, like we've redone Center Station, so now that has become also an additional meeting space for groups. Because,
So with the new annex and with the center space, we still need more meeting room space, like
well, the annex is Park and Rec, that's not
Our
used for
Park and
meetings
Rec-
or whatever, that's.
our Park and Rec director has turned away groups.
I mean, there's, Robin's room downstairs is really sort of just earmarked for the seniors. It's not used for any other boards or commissions or whatever. The other room downstairs is basically for park and rec. It's their activity room, so it's, you know, sometimes the Boy Scouts can meet in there, but there's always park and rec stuff piled all over the place.
I thought when the town garage was first built, that there was a conference room. I'm showing my age.
I was gonna
I was gonna say, I don't know if there is right now.
For too long.
I don't know.
But I
about that
don't
yet.
believe there is at the moment, the
I mean,
way it is.
there isn't a lot of, there's no information here. I don't know. I mean, are you talking a 20 by 20 edition, or I mean, what are we talking
Well,
about?
from, I know that the addition portion of it is spec'd out at $350,000.
How would you know that? It doesn't say it.
Because I saw the engineering documents for it.
Hmm.
And it's not just paving around the building, it's also paving the recycling center.
Which is,
Which is in question as well.
which is sort of a questionable thing to decide we want to do right now. If we
Well, it still
haven't
will be
decided.
open for other, I mean, things like mattresses, electronics, the bottles and cans for the, you know, historical society.
If we don't approve of this to go forward,
Mhm.
what are you gonna do?
We would probably have to refuse the grant if we get it. We need to the town has to match with the 20%. So we would have to refuse the grant.
When are you supposed to hear back?
We're still waiting to hear on Rosa DeLauro's money, and that was how long ago? I emailed the office the other day to find out, and they still can't give me an answer. So, but Steve is usually a little, I have to say, they are a little better than the federal, so it's
Think October, November is usually when they're awarded.
within a few months. It's not, they make you jump through every hoop to get it done in 2 to 3 weeks, but then they, you know, make you wait. So.
I think we have a failure process here that has resulted in something that is, it may be ready for prime time, but we haven't seen the part that says it's ready for prime time. I don't know, we would have discussed it before the application went in.
You would have had to call a special meeting then at the very beginning of August. Because we got notice and we had like 2 weeks to put it in.
All right, what are we gonna do? Do I have a motion from anybody? Recommendation? If we send it forward, we have to say how we're gonna pay for our part of it.
I would just hope that there's more details for the town than this. This is pretty vague. It's like I understand trying to get $500,000 in grant money, but it's like getting the money and then figuring out. the
It's like a
details.
bridge to nowhere. You know what I mean? It's a gold-plated public works project that
Well, there are some
it's got
things
everything but the kitchen
that you
sink.
can do that with, when you just have a concept, especially with $1 million grant. But this is for a huge, and that was for a huge thing, but I don't
Cause like
know.
how certain are we in the 103,000? Like, I don't know.
Mhm.
Like I'm worried we're gonna dig ourselves into a big hole possibly without more details. And then you have to go back to the town and ask for more money to complete it. That would be my concern.
If this was an anticipated need, it should have been on our capital forecast list, and we would have been able to say, oh, we've got this project on our capital expenditure in out years, and we'd be able to pull from it.
Well, I think that these things actually have been identified as things that we needed, because it's, for many years, there's been talk about needing I don't know about the community meeting space, actually, we never heard about that.
Yeah.
But the part about the storm quarters so that people could rest.
Yes, I believe that. I just don't think
Yeah.
that this is storm quarters. This
Yeah.
is $600,000.
And I guess their bathroom is in really bad shape. And the paving project came and went, kind of, we've been discussing that last year. So it isn't, but the thing about a community meeting room is a little odd. Well, it's a little unanticipated, let's say. I don't know how to answer you, Lars, because we
Like,
have,
how solid is this number? Is there a quote, or is there a builder, contractor? Where'd it come from?
Tilcon provided the paving cost. And we have an engineered drawings with an engineering estimate for the addition on the building.
So no actual builder has said that this is what they could do it for.
I do not believe so.
I'm hesitant.
I'm hesitant as well.
you what?
I just don't think there's enough information. You know, we talked about,
We have a bad track record of starting
Absolutely.
projects and needing more money.
this sounds
And
like
this
the
is setting
generator
us
that
up
was
to
for
the
town
same
hall.
exact
It went
thing.
from, really, that's what it feels like.
With that one, yes,
It's still got the same
yes,
lack of
Actually, it's
detail and
even-
lack of
same kind of grant. too.
credibility.
All right, what are we gonna do? What are we going to do? Because I think they can probably take it to a town meeting. But they would have to do it without our approval.
Well, leave it up to the public if they want.
Well, but part of it is how
Well, that's just
how
a-
to fund our part of
All
it.
right, well, then go with the general fund.
It's what?
With the, not, what do you call it, the.
Capital reserve.
No, the other.
The general fund.
Contingency?
The surplus.
So that would be the general fund.
All right, the general fund.
Okay,
Also, I mean, if
What's
we're
that, like-
awarded, how quickly do you need to use steep funding?
We have, I think we have 3 years to spend it.
So if we're awarded $500,000, we have 3 years to do this project?
Yes.
Well, then I don't see the rush. I would see if we get awarded it, and then we could kick the
And then
can
put it in the
till
budget till next year, put it
Yeah.
in the capital budget.
I just think, yeah.
Most of
there's
these
no
with steep have to be shovel ready to go.
Well,
Can't-
That is the requirement to apply for a steep grant, a shovel-ready project.
is this shovel ready? Because you've already applied for it, right?
We have the architectural drawings and stuff to,
Yeah, but that's not shovel ready, because you don't have a hard number on what it's gonna cost you.
Also, 3 years, I wouldn't call that shovel ready.
well, that's to finish the project, it's not to start the project.
Okay,
It's
either
3 years.
way.
and you can do that without the local funding guaranteed?
We had to get it in, we had 2 weeks to get it in. So we had to scramble to get plans and, you know, say that the Board of Selectmen approved that if anything came, I could have the authority to sign it. So,
I mean, do you really think that we're like, hey, let's go have a meeting, a public meeting, let's go to the DPW, You like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I'm convinced that's necessary. I mean, if they need a break, an area to rest. I mean, I've never been in that building. I mean, what's in the office? Is there just offices, or what's in there? I don't even know.
they have an eating room and, Tony has an office and the bathroom.
How big's the eating room?
Large enough for a table half the size.
Okay. I mean, you know, maybe, I mean, if they need a little addition for some bunks, I mean, that's a whole different ballgame than a big meeting room.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Okay, I sense that we are not comfortable with this project.
And it sounds like we have time. If you get award, I mean, I understand you were at a crunch to get it in. And if you get $500,000 for paying a grant in 2 weeks, great, but if we have 3 years to complete it, might as well wait. I think going to the town with this information doesn't look good. I would say wait, see if you get it, and then when you go to the town and say we have $500,000, we just have to kick in 100 and have more details too, that'll be an easier sell.
Yeah, we can say to them, we've been awarded this grant for 500,000. Do you think $100,000
Yeah.
in, when we
When,
have,
yeah,
do you
yes.
think that it's worth spending $100,000 from somewhere, which we can identify locations, and X amount of extra cost and maintenance, you know?
Mhm.
Especially if we have 3 years, that's a long time.
Well,
I
unless
think
they
it's
want.
started right away,
I have a
but
feeling
yeah.
they want to start it now.
Who's they?
I don't know.
Mr. Steve,
That's sort of nebulous, isn't it? Yes.
I guess I'm confused, shovel ready versus 3 years to completion.
Oh,
usually.
that's in terms of the grant funding.
Yeah,
You have 3 years to use it up.
Right, because
That doesn't mean that
they're
the total is-
reimbursement grants.
yeah.
oh, that's different. That changes things as
Yes,
well.
it does.
Steep is a reimbursement grant,
Mhm.
So we're gonna have to front the 500 anyway.
yes.
And it pays at completion?
No,
Oh, it pays,
pays on a quarterly basis.
okay, okay.
Pays on a quarterly basis.
Oh, so they won't like it if you have zero expense for the first quarter or two? Is that the issue?
Well, sometimes that's what happens. That's what you submit.
Nothing's been spent.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna suggest that we table this until we have more information, and the Board of Selectmen can do whatever they want in terms of putting it on the call or not, but don't represent that we have approved it.
I'm not gonna put it on the call.
Okay. Wait and see if it's good. If you get the money, that's what we've done with others. We waited until.
I mean, there's always potential that there could be another special meeting between now and next May, other than the September one, obviously.
Yeah.
But it could always go on at that next one, once we establish if we even get the grant.
That would be.
So there's no reason to bring this up
That would
and
be
throw everybody into a tizzy.
And we
You know,
may
we don't
not,
know.
because we were awarded one last year, so we may not get one this year.
Yeah.
Sometimes you do get them and, you know, successive
Mm-hmm. And we
years.
really
Sometimes you
don't want to commit funds or ask the town meeting to appropriate funds until we know we need them.
Okay, so I will not even put it on the call, so
All right.
we will just wait to establish if we actually get it.
So what I will do is if we are awarded the grant, when it has to come back to us, I will make sure that you have the full application and the full details, and if that includes the architectural drawings and estimates, you will have a complete packet on the cost.
All right. Sounds good.
How many rooms was that expansion or whatever you want to call it?
350.
Probably at least 2, a community room plus the sleeping quarters.
Yeah, such a cool.
And see, like this, like pictures or drawings for the town is something that like you have to provide.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We have those, but I understand what you're saying. Okay.
All right, so. How about it very quickly, I go through my report and then.
I was gonna say, I would prefer just to have everyone read the informational items on the rest of the grants.
Okay, any questions?
All right.
That's fine.
I have something highlighted, hold on. Need to create external application process. What is that? External agency application?
Well, we still do not have a formal procedure on how we are going to go about applying. Like in this case, we should have a list of potential, to your point, we should have a list of potential capital projects. And what can we go after grant money for? And we should have a process in place for how to prioritize them with where to go for that money.
I agree.
Because we did submit an application through Senator Murphy's office and a FEMA grant to upgrade all of the lodge. It would have been to add shower facilities to make that an emergency shelter. It would have included bathrooms, showers, generator, it would have included all of that stuff. We were not approved for that. We were denied because of the restructuring and the clawback of the extras that are being added on to bills and that going forward. We were not approved for that, but having that list of potential projects and where would we go for obtaining that money is something that we need to document and put into place. It's something that Jen and I are working on. Yes, you're up.
Okay, in terms of the money update, I don't know whether you're aware of it, but there was a $2.4 million surplus. Yeah, and 2% of it went into their fund. And then once we get our share of it, what they will do is that they will just not collect it all, just like last year, not collect it. So it's kind of interesting. I found something. I was notified that they were getting ready to begin their salary negotiations. And what was somewhat amusing was to get a copy of the statute that requires, this is, we cannot give you the money back because the statute requires that we keep it. Well, the statute requires that their Board of Education meet with the boards of finance for all 3 towns. And so, but that has never happened. We don't do it like that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then I was notified that we could have a representative observer at the negotiation sessions. Is anyone interested in doing that? I'm told that it has never been done, that the administration represents the board and all the towns.
When are these?
Oh, it's the first one is Thursday.
Evenings or?
It's late afternoon. She was somewhat nervous. No one has ever wanted to observe these sessions.
What sessions are these?
The negotiation sessions with the teachers union.
Oh. I would love to.
I will have her contact you.
Okay.
I think she said that because it's the first meeting, they would be meeting with the attorneys at approximately 3:30. I'm not sure what time the negotiation session, but I'll let her know that you're the person to contact. Well, thank you so much, because the Bethany ones are on Thursdays also. So I couldn't do both of them.
Thursday evenings, I have a commitment, but I might be able to like scoot out it for 3:30. Like that might be bearable.
Okay.
So
All right.
I didn't realize that their term until I saw the meeting minutes. I didn't realize that their term was up as well.
Yes.
It's the end
They
of
both are.
24. It's the end of the school year. It's over. It's
Yeah.
up. June 30th of 24.
So now they start. So now they start, and they both, I believe the arbitration has to be done by November. If there's going to be arbitration in both of them, so it won't be a forever commitment. Oh, and then that last thing, the email correspondence was the email from
Sure.
Bruce, let everybody know that he was displeased with our scheduling. But we should make sure that pay-as-you-go project is one of the evaluated options.
Okay.
I mean, it was part of the list, so
Yep.
I'm sure it would have been, but anyway, okay, I'm done.
Okay, just a couple of quick things. Of course, you came here in the dark, so you probably can't see, but the annex is all kind of cut out with the new windows that are gonna go in and the new doors and everything, so that project is moving along very nicely. They're doing a great job. It'll sort of mirror the Board of Ed office with the way the windows are and the siding and everything, so hopefully that will be done by Halloween, if we, our fingers crossed. Because they're using the school right now as their sort of headquarters after school, so with the kids. And if it's nice, they're obviously outside. The solar, if you read the bulletin, we are a party now to the project, and actually a group of the abutting residents also hired an attorney who has also been approved by the siting council as a party to the project.
When you said we are a party
town,
now, the town of Bethany.
The town
Mhm.
then has applied petition that we were approved because he and I were on that meeting when they approved us. And then I watched the next meeting when they approved the residents' attorney as a party. We've been working on interrogatories, and Vin was here actually today. I was at CCM, but he came down and worked with Lena to put together a whole bunch of documentation that has to be submitted. We have to submit like 15 copies of everything to all the members of the council and so forth. So he was here working with her on that, and also we've been working on interrogatories. I didn't feel too bad when I opened up our list of interrogatories, and there were 12 of them, and I was like, oh, 12, that's not too bad. And then I opened up the petitioners list of interrogatories, they had like 65. So I was like, we're good, we got these 12, we can do this. But so there will be an evidentiary meeting at 2 o'clock on October 5th. And then that night, there will be a public hearing on the project. We've been looking, Ben and I, we've been researching different areas in town to potentially recommend a relocation of this project. So Uniroyal, interestingly enough, has some kind of pending sale on the property. They did not expand on what it is, but when we reached out to them as a potential site for this project, they said, oh gee, we've just recently signed some paperwork, so I have no idea what actually might be going in there. But we told them, should that fall through, please let us know, because we potentially have this project that could go there, so. But we're working on some suggestions for them.
Why did it get this far before we proposed alternate suggestions?
We are actually doing their job pretty much, because it should be their due diligence to contact the town to find out.
And they didn't
What-
contact you?
No, they supposedly said that they contacted us, and we told them that, you know, like the airport would be a good potential alternate site. It's like, pretty sure they did. That would have stuck with me if they did. Yeah, so they, and then when we originally met with them, it was, were you on that original meeting back in, whenever the heck it was, the fall of last year? It was Kim, Chris, Hiram, Vin, myself. There was someone else, might have been Lena. They invited us as an introduction to this group, the attorney for TriTech and whoever else was involved with it, just to introduce themselves to us. And then they were going to have another public meeting with the abutting residents. And they were going to invite all 6 of us on that meeting as well. But we were never allowed in that meeting. So we have no idea what any of the public comments were from the abutting residents, and that was back in October of last year. So we let the siting council know that they invited us and then never let us participate. So they weren't off to a good start. But so we shall see how it all shakes out. We're like I say, we're doing our part to potentially not have it over there and have it somewhere else. So we'll see what the siting council hopefully will listen and let it go our way, but fingers crossed and see what happens. But we're doing our due diligence. Other than that, I think we've discussed all the other projects and things going on, so, you know, like I said, we will be filling a couple of vacancies, and, then our elections are, we did have a couple come today and ask where they were voting for the primary, which I thought was very sweet. They thought we had a primary in town today, but, had to tell them no, so.
Who were they gonna vote for? Did you ask?
No, I didn't even think to ask. No, I was just actually trying to-
I'm just curious.
Because they wanted Jersey.
You'd think we would have been advertising that there was a primary, but we, you know, obviously there was
They're just
nothing.
watching the news or something, you know? and like,
Yeah, everybody's having a primary, so we must be having a primary, but, so yeah, so no, that's kind of where we are at this point, just moving things along and, yeah. I think we're good.
Control issues quickly.
We're still working on a formal process of reconciliation with the Board of Ed because what is expected of us is virtually impossible to do. So it's a work in progress.
Expected by the auditor.
Yes, the expectations of the auditor is almost impossible to do. But we are doing the best that we can. The end of the period reporting, I'm just trying to button up exactly how we're going to do, you know, the monthly. But department heads are receiving their expense sheets on a monthly basis.
Mhm.
And I had asked for in August, I had asked Jen, the new AP clerk, if she could do a report, and I gave her the basic parameters for the reports, because I was asked, I completely forgot, trying to do audit stuff, I forgot that we were now in August and they wanted July numbers. So she sends it out. The next, I asked her if she had any problems with it. She said, no, she said, everyone said they were grateful for it. She said, I put it in my file to do it every month. I didn't even ask her to do it on a monthly basis, but she put it in her file to do it on a monthly basis. So the department heads are very pleased with the fact that they are getting timely information. They are getting timely numbers. So we've come a long way in that area. There's just a few additional things that I need to do on my end to make it a complete end of period report, like making sure that all the inner funds are balanced and stuff like that. We're working towards that. And we just have to, part C is, that's a discussion for the board at some point between now and budget season.
Yeah. Particularly because, you know, I mean, the big question there is Parks and Rec, right? That's where, that was sort of the catalyst for the conversation.
Yes, but
And-
you could also say under subsidy falls into what we're going to do with the new RFP for the trash services. I mean, is the town willing through taxes to pay full freight for that?
Mhm.
Or do we want to look at a pay per throw? So yeah, I mean, yes, taxes are subsidizing the trash removal and the town is picking up the burden on all of it. And the question is how do we want that to look going forward? So it dovetails into that part as well.
You're right.
Anything else, anyone? Okay,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
8:37. 8:37.